Today's episode is sponsored by War Thunder. The Book of Enoch, also referred to as 1 Enoch, is an ancient religious text that treats readers to some rather creative, dynamic, and often bizarre sequences that are not found in the traditional Bible. We find fallen angels interbreeding with mortals, we have vengeful monsters known as Nephilim devouring the world, and we have an angelic civil war that sees the likes of Archangels engaging in battle with evil forces in an effort to restore order. Not only this, but the text shows us how Enoch, that very same Enoch found briefly in Genesis, who was known for his righteousness and closeness to God, is taken on a wild journey through the cosmos by the Archangels, and how his eyes were opened to some incredible sights, from the natural formations of the earth, the underground prisons of fallen angels, the complex portals of heaven, and even the Garden of Eden. Traditionally, the work is attributed to the patriarch Enoch, who, according to the Bible, was the father of Methuselah, the longest living character in the Bible, and the great-grandfather of Noah, who was chosen by God to survive the flood and continue his lineage. Whilst this Enoch miraculously vanishes in the Genesis account, where he is taken up by the Lord, the Book of Enoch aims to show us what sort of adventures Enoch got up to when he was upon the earth, and seeks to fill in some of the blanks that the Genesis account leaves in regards to the origins of the Nephilim, the reasons behind the fall of certain angels from heaven, the explanation behind why the Great Deluge was necessary during Noah's times, and an intertwined prophetic discourse that foreshadows the 1,000-year reign of the Messiah. With the Book of Enoch packing so many juicy little tidbits, some have wondered why the book is not canon with traditional scripture, and whilst there are several arguments in support of this book being banned from the Bible, mostly because of its incongruencies, there are some communities and believers that absorb the Enochian legend into their own doctrine, as well as some communities that had never removed it at all. Before we get into some of the ideas pertaining to where this wild book came from, a brief message from the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. War Thunder is an incredibly detailed PvP game that really focuses on its vehicular gameplay. From planes, tanks, helicopters and ships, you can find a wide variety of motorized weaponry, spanning back all the way to the 1920s, including historically accurate weaponry. You can even customize your own vehicle to your liking with hundreds of camouflages, decals and 3D decorations. One of the features I've really enjoyed about War Thunder's gameplay is how immersive it is when it comes to firing off your weapons. There are no hit points or health bars in the game, so when you find yourself in a dogfight or a tank standoff, these encounters can become really intense. Another great feature is that the game requires no additional hardware to play. Just plug in your mouse and keyboard and take full benefit of the game's intuitive mouse aim mode. You can play War Thunder now for free on PC, PlayStation and Xbox. Be sure to use my exclusive link in the comments below, where new players and players who haven't logged in 6 months can claim a free large bonus pack. This pack includes multiple premium vehicles, a premium account, an exclusive 3D decorator for your vehicle, and much more. Be quick though, as this offer is only available for a limited time. And now back to today's episode. The Book of Enoch has a complex history, and its precise dating and authorship remain subject of scholarly debate. However, there are several key points that can help us understand its historical context, and show us perhaps why it's more likely that this story, in spite of its stellar narrative, was probably penned centuries after the flood story was already popularized, and thus probably wasn't written by Enoch himself. This style of writing can be described as composite authorship, where scholars generally agree that the Book of Enoch was likely compiled by multiple authors over an extended period of time, somewhere between the 3rd century before the Common Era and the 1st century of the Common Era. This time frame places it within the broader context of Second Temple Judaism, a period marked by a proliferation of religious and apocalyptic literature. Basically, everyone was making stuff up during this time, for it was a period where there was something of an intellectual shift in favour of Jewish writings. Here, Judaism underwent significant development, including the emergence of diverse religious sects that were all brimming with new concepts and ideas. So it's not impossible that more than one author took a stab at the Book of Enoch, and continue to add their own literary takes and newfound beliefs, which would kind of explain why the various sections of the book feel so different from the sequences before or after, and why a lot of the book can be described as disjointed or even discontinuous. But is it possible to trace the origins of the Book of Enoch to where it was originally discovered? Well, the discovery of the book can be attributed to a series of findings across different locations and different time periods. So whilst we can't necessarily be sure of who had it first, there are a few contenders that claim possession of the diversive text, and help us to narrow down our search for where the Book of Enoch originally came from. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tawahadu Church has a long-standing tradition of preserving the Book of Enoch, where it has been maintained as part of this community's biblical canon for centuries. It's also the only version of the Book of Enoch that's preserved in all of its entirety. It was during the 18th century did Scottish traveller and explorer James Bruce obtain several manuscripts of the Book of Enoch that were written in an ancient Semitic language, this being the classical language of Ethiopia, Ge'ez. James Bruce's acquisition of these texts introduced the Book of Enoch to the Western world and enabled the European scholars to begin studying it. With this idea, there are some communities that believe that the Ethiopian Book of Enoch, written in Ge'ez, is the original, and that because according to some schools of thought that Ge'ez is older than Aramaic and Hebrew, which is the second language the Book of Enoch is believed to have originated from, the Ethiopian Book of Enoch must have therefore been the first iteration. Thus it can be concluded from this argument that the Book of Enoch originated from early Jews in Ethiopia. Indeed, a Jewish community was built in Ethiopia sometime in the 6th century before the Common Era, after the destruction of the First Temple. Many believe that these people were descendants of King Solomon and Queen Sheba, though other theories also exist, including that these Jews were the surviving members of the lost tribe of Dan, or that they were descendants of early Christians who had converted to Judaism. With this Jewish characteristic, some have proposed that it was from these Ethiopian Jews that the Book of Enoch was written, and considering the Book of Enoch still remains to be a part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, this idea has persisted. On the other hand, this can also be disputed by modern scholarship, where the general consensus is that the Book of Enoch was originally written in Aramaic or Hebrew, the same language first used for ancient Jewish texts. There is also an idea that the Book of Enoch may have been written partially in Aramaic and partially in Hebrew, as discovered amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls in the caves of Qumran, which may fit in with the idea that the Book of Enoch was composed by different people across different time periods and in different places. Of the Aramaic Book of Enoch, the most significant find that suggests that this was the original language that the book was composed of comes from the Dead Sea Scrolls. For those who are unaware of the Dead Sea Scrolls, these are a collection of Jewish texts discovered in the vicinity of the Qumran caves, near the Dead Sea. These scrolls are associated with an ancient mystical Jewish sect, often believed to be the Essenes, who lived in the area during the Second Temple period. During the mid-20th century find of these texts, various Aramaic fragments of the Book of Enoch were found amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls within the caves of Qumran. Later, Greek and Latin fragments of the text have also been unearthed in other areas. With this, whilst it's near impossible to determine which language the Enochian legend was first thought up with, it does at least prove that the Book of Enoch was known by Jews and early Near Eastern Christians. As to whether these fragments were originals, or whether they were copies from an earlier Semitic language, or the Ethiopian Ge'ez, still remains up for some debate. The discoveries of the Book of Enoch in both Ethiopia and the caves of Qumran have significantly enriched the study of such an ancient text. They have illuminated the complexities of its transmission, adaptation, and the diverse traditions that have shaped it over the centuries. The Book of Enoch's survival in different parts of the world, and its subsequent rediscovery, highlight the interconnectedness of cultures and the enduring significance of religious texts throughout history. Perhaps with this in mind, it isn't essential to know where the Book of Enoch was discovered, nor which language started the legend, or whether the legend was an amalgamation of several languages from several people across several different time periods, but rather what the legend has meant to people throughout history, and what it means to people today. one may only look at the fact that despite being rejected by the more westernized idea of Christianity, the Book of Enoch still holds a firm place within the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and is officially recognized as part of Ethiopian sacred scriptures. Don't forget to check out the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder, available on PC, PlayStation and Xbox. By using my link in the comments below, you'll get access to premium vehicles, a premium account, and an exclusive 3D decorator for your vehicle, as well as much more. Be quick though, as this offer is only available for a limited time. As always guys, if you've enjoyed today's episode, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.